guys, I'm Doc Schupp. This is Shadow America's Pup. You're about to watch Veteran Voices. This is a profile of different military veterans talking about their actual experiences. It's not just the guys in uniform, but the people behind the uniforms. So let's make sure we honor and respect these vets. Enjoy the videos.
Hi, my name is Shaun Hutchinson, retired Master Sergeant in the United States Army. I served 20 years and spent most of that in the United States Special Operations with the Rangers. A lot of people don't know what Rangers are. And so I always like to say, if you've watched the movie Black Hawk Down, that will kind of give you a good idea of what a Ranger is. And so I'll also say I'm an extra in the movie. So being an extra in the movie in 2001, little did we know, later on that year, we'd be going to combat ourselves. One, we're filming a movie going over what went over in '93 in Somalia, and then fast forward months later, we find ourselves overseas. So I was there for the initial invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq. And what a lot of people don't know is it's tough, training's tough, but being in the best units in the world, it's like, couldn't ask for more. And after the World Trade Centers went down, and we were overseas and we came back, we were the first plane to fly over where the Twin Towers were. And just having that passion of wanting to go back and fight more just from seeing what happened. Something that always sticks with me. Thinking about acting in a movie about being in combat and then going, obviously it's two different things, but to be able to capture what they did back in '93 into what I went through later in life, it was really eye-opening, and I wouldn't change a thing.
My name's Duddie. I was an Army medic. Before I was an Army medic, I was a naval firefighter because I joined the Navy to see exotic places and meet really cool people and be stationed in Staten Island, New York. So I was really more of a homebody and really didn't get to see many places. I was stationed in Puerto Rico for a while. That was pretty cool. And like I said, I was a damage controlman, which was a naval firefighter. And when they decommissioned my ship in 1994, they gave me an opportunity to go into the Army National Guard civilian acquired skills as a combat medic. I went in, I did my first enlistment, which was 6.5 years. Then I re-enlisted. Then in 2007, we were doing hand-to-hand combat training pre-deploying to Iraq, and I broke my neck. So going through the motions of that, I had to learn how to walk unassisted. I was in a wheelchair for a while. And then when I got out of the military, I joined the American Legion, which is where I learned how to redevelop people's skills and hone in on family that I missed, which is how I have my brothers and my sisters in arms who are all part of the American Legion because they're all veterans. And from there, now I can help people more so where I wasn't helped. And I'm learning a lot about people's different ailments and disabilities and how better to assist them. And that's my story. I'm a commander of an American Legion at Rochelle Park. I'm a department vice commander for the state of New Jersey, and soon to be the county commander.
Hi, I'm Krutchkoff. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran, Vietnam era. I was stationed in Hurlburt Field, Florida, which was a Vietnam training base, Hickam Air Force Base, where we had the Pacific Forecast Center. I was in Air Weather Service, so we did all the weather for Southeast Asia. After that, I took a trip and drove to Afghanistan. And later on, after 9/11, like a lot of us vets, I got very angry. And fortunately, my wife's car got hit in a parking lot, and the woman that hit her, her son-in-law was going to Iraq. He was in the 82nd Airborne. So I went to a buddy of mine and I said, hey, there's a sergeant in the 82nd Airborne, he's going to Iraq, let's adopt this kid. And so my buddy's father was in World War II in the 82nd Airborne, as it turned out. So he jumped on it. We bought this kid stuff, we sent him stuff, and then somebody would come up, hey, my nephew, my this, my brother, my cousin. And you know, after a few months, we had a few adoptees, and I said, hey, we're the size of a small platoon. Why don't we call ourselves the Adopt a Soldier Platoon? And that's how the name came about. And we never set out to be a charity. We just wanted to help. And it grew and grew and grew. And before we knew it, we're, helping hundreds of thousands of troops. And so we became a 501c3 public charity, and now we're over 20 years old. We're one of the oldest all-volunteer charities in the state and probably the country, because as they get bigger, we never wanted to be big. As they get bigger, they have to have employees, and then there's greed and all these other nonsense that comes into charitable work for some. We never wanted to be big. So we're one of the oldest charities. We're over 20 years old, and I've been to Afghanistan twice with the Washington Redskins cheerleaders. I'm cheer dad. That was pretty cool. Been to Kuwait, been on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, embarked on an aircraft carrier, landed on the carrier, took off from the carrier. So it's been a great life. Every October, we've had a gala for our wounded vets. So besides sending care packages downrange, for the last 11 or 12 years, we've been taking care of wounded vets. And my wife, God bless her, she used to be the head psych nurse at Hackensack Hospital. She's in charge of our wounded care. She's a registered nurse. And all vets, all wounded vets with VA disabilities, every single one of them, I don't care who they are, they have emotional issues, they have neurological issues, whatever, whether they have big physical wounds, little physical wounds, but they all have emotional issues. So we like taking care of our vets, and that's pretty much what it is. The last thing I'll mention is this is for a friend of ours called Harry Buga Magar. Harry just climbed Mount Everest on May 19th. He's going to be our guest at our gala in October. And the reason why we asked him is he's going to inspire all our vets. Nothing's impossible. If he can climb Mount Everest with no legs, I don't care what, you can do it. Whatever the hell it is, you can do it.
Hi, my name is Andrea Mae. I was a sergeant in the Army, and I also was a cook. And my story is when I first joined the Army, I could not do any push-ups. So I had to go to what they call fitness training company. And that was a nightmare for anybody that's in basic training, because if you can't do the push-ups, you gotta go home. So I was fortunate enough to find the best gang of girls who I'm still friends with to this day, over almost 30 years, and I can do over 50 push-ups now, even though it doesn't really matter too much. But I could say that that was a wonderful experience, and it taught me camaraderie, it taught me integrity, because I had to make myself strong and be tougher than what I thought I was. So being in the Army was such a great experience. I was also honored to go to culinary arts school while I was in the Army. I worked for General Tonelli while I was stationed in Yongsan, Korea, and I got the opportunity to go to baking school and just be a superstar. And if you know me, you know I'm a superstar. So it was a great experience, and I'm very honored of my time in the military.
My name is Gloria. I'm a United States Navy veteran. And one of the main things that is like embedded in my head from the military is the beginning in boot camp. And I don't really hear a lot of people talking about it. When I enlisted, you're there, you get on the bus, I left from Brooklyn, from the maps over there. And then when I got there, no one tells you that you're going to be sharing the showers with every other female there. So when I got there, I remember being so uncomfortable, because either you take a shower or, until the next time, and whatever, things have to keep going. So one of the main things is, once we were close to graduating, everyone is so comfortable, like, oh, pass me the shampoo, give me this. The camaraderie that you build when you're just in boot camp is amazing. And then furthermore, once you go to your A school, like in the Navy, it's A school, it is a team effort, because I remember sometimes in the shower, one of the showers wouldn't work. So we had to either accelerate the process or make sure that, hey, use this shower. And it may not seem like something grand, because a lot of people focus on the battlefield and other items when you're in the service. But I feel for women, that's something crucial, something important, because when we used to have a little bit of downtime, we would all be like, okay, can can you braid my hair? Can you do something? And you do develop that teamwork from the beginning. And right now I've noticed that, especially with social media, everyone has the entrepreneurial spirit, but I love this country. My background is, my mother is Peruvian, my father's Italian, but I love this country. I'm proud to be living here, and I want to see more of the youth enlist, because I've noticed that a lot of the youth don't have the discipline that I grew up with, or in past generations, you had to really have more survival skills. Now everyone is like looking into their phones, thinking that the information is going to come to them. I love my country, and one of the main things that I would love to see the youth now do is enlist, because everyone is saying, what are you doing for me? But what are you really doing for your country? And it would be just a great experience to see other people see that, grow in the American spirit, because this is a beautiful country. What we do is wonderful. The people that you meet in the military, you really do develop great relationships, great experience. A lot of the youth, I see that they are not growing with a lot of discipline. And I know that's something in the military that you gain, and that it's going to help you throughout your whole life.
Hi, my name is Bill Huhn, H-U-H-N. I live in Park Ridge, New Jersey. I was in the Korean War in 1951 and early 52, and I served with the 3rd Infantry Division. The story that's most important at this stage of my life is that I met some of those wonderful guys I ever met in my life during that tour. Everybody that went there, regardless of what your MOS was, you don't know where you were going to end up. And on the ship going over, I met a guy who was recalled in the military, and he had been a trumpeter, played a trumpet in a band. And he said, I'm going to play in a band. And he said, you're not going to have a problem because you wear glasses. He said, you can't go in the infantry wearing glasses. I said, oh boy, that's good. That's good to hear. And as we kept going over there and get on the ship, and one day they get us with M1s, and we're out on the deck of the boat, shoot, kept saying, don't worry. And then we get the replacement depot, and that was operated by some career military that served with the 3rd, at least the group that we were put to. And they start telling a story about the 3rd Infantry, about how many casualties are, scared the daylights out of nobody. But we went in, and I didn't know anything up. But I do know this, that I heard a lot of things about the war from, I have 3 brothers that were in World War II, one in the Marine Corps, 2 in the Army, and my sister was in the Army, brother-in-law in the Air Corps, my wife's 2 brothers in the Navy. And I was never a political guy. I didn't know what the war was all about. But I sure learned that when your chips are down and you got good guys that you probably would have never met in your life. They're different types of people. I always thought a country boy was a country boy. I was from the city, so I was surprised how little I knew and how good they were at what they were doing. I learned some humility there. And when I left my unit, I was glad to go home, but believe it or not, there was a sadness in leaving those guys.
Rich Musicant, Corporal, United States Marine Corps. Served in 1988 to 94, medically retired. Grew up in North Jersey, Park Ridge, just a regular average upbringing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to serve because everybody in my life that I admired growing up was a veteran, almost every one of them. And at that point, I grew up in the 80s. So, most of our veterans, the people we looked up to were World War II vets, Korea vets. I mean, there were just so many of them because back then, so many people served. And Vietnam, we didn't really quite understand Vietnam yet. Being young as we were, we didn't understand politics yet. And obviously mainstream media isn't what it is today, so you weren't bombarded with all this stuff. Vietnam vets were very quiet about their service at that point. A lot of them were very, scarred from what happened, and when you met a Vietnam vet, you were just very reverent and very cautious to discuss it with them. There was always the respect, but you didn't poke the bear. But I always admired anybody who served, and I wanted to be accepted in their circle. So joining the Marines was it just made sense to me. My father was a Marine. He served in 1958 to 1962. He started out in motor transport. He ended up becoming an embassy guard, and he spent a year in Laos, which half the people I know can't find it on a map. And then he spent the second tour of embassy duty in Tokyo, Japan, which is just an amazing place. And that's one of the best things about the military for me was, traveling the world and just seeing other cultures and meeting people who aren't like me. And just even just the exposure when you first join, and you go to basic training, and you're stationed with people from every walk of life, and you meet people who you never would have met otherwise, unless maybe you went to college in a very diverse area, and that to me is amazing. I mean, I had a friend who didn't have a driver's license, but he could drive the hell out of a snowmobile because he was from Alaska. There was just no reason for him to know how to drive a car. There were no roads where he lived, and then we were stationed in the tropics together, which was kind of fun. I made a lot of friends, a lot of good friends. I mean, more than friends. They're more than friends, more than family. These are people that, we check in with each other every day. One of the blessings of social media, you can stay in touch with all your friends that you experience all these great journeys and adventures with. There was the time that a couple of us just on a whim, we all jumped into a truck we towed a motorboat behind us and drove down into Mexico and went fishing for a couple days in an area called San Quintin in Baja, Mexico, or Baja, California. But it's just such a beautiful area, and to go somewhere where other people live and they have no contact with your world, and now you're in their world and you're seeing how they live. It's an education. Those of us who carry a Purple Heart, we refer to it as the Alive Day, or our Alive Day. To me, it's more important than my birthday. Dr. Gordon Naylor was the doctor who saved me when I was wounded, and we stayed in touch over the years. And I typically call him on the anniversary of my combat injury. So Gordon was on my invite list when I got married 5 years ago. So at that point, it had been 32 years since I had been wounded. I think it was 32 years. And I asked him if he and his wife would come join us for my wedding, our wedding, and he said absolutely. And so he came, and he was an honored guest at my wedding, along with one of the nurses from the Air Force hospital that was treating me as I was medevac back to the States. They flew me on basically a hospital plane, and she was one of the nurses who cared for me. Her name is Denise Rahaman. She lives in South Jersey now, so we see each other regularly. And then the rabbi who performed our wedding ceremony, I served with him, and he found his way over to the hospital where I was at, and he prayed with me by my bedside. 32 years later, my wife and I asked him if he would perform our wedding ceremony. And he was like, wild horses couldn't keep me away. So it was a very special group of people at my wedding. Those are people that they will always be part of my life.
So that was Veteran Voices. We hope you got something out of listening to these real stories from real heroes. And we hope you come to love this country as much as they obviously do. Have a blessed day. God bless America.